What's up, guys? Captain Michael Bell here with another episode of Eastern Current. I want to talk to y'all today about three of my top baits for wintertime fishing. As we know, this time of year the fish get super lethargic, everything starts to slow down, and that's what I love about these three baits is you can fish it very slow. They're very dynamic in the way that you can fish them. And then you're just able to cover a lot more scenarios without having to switch baits throughout the day. So first thing we'll hop into it here is the DOA shrimp. The DOAs are awesome. You see me and Jud fishing them a lot, just swinging them, especially during the fall time and those kind of heavy current flows. Doing the same exact thing this time of year with the DOAs, but you can get into some different colors. I feel like this time of year. I really like once I move upriver into a little darker water and that water's a little cloudy. I like this darker bait with the chartreuse tail. And then also just changing out the sizes. So these are 3-inch ones and I like the 4-inch as well. But just being able to pitch those up, drift them, and really get a natural drift of how that shrimp suspends in the water as you're drifting through these areas. The other thing that I like doing with them, and this is something that me and Jud kind of learned over the last few years, is sight fishing with them, especially in like shallow water. And not necessarily have to be just sight fishing, but just fishing them in shallow water as well, where you got some current moving down a bank. You can pitch this thing out during the summer, pitch it up right up to the grass, pop, pop, and let it sit there for just a second, pop, pop. And I picked up a lot of flounder this year doing that, and a lot of redfish, and as well sight fishing them, pitching them in there. It's a very light bait, and lands very softly. You can get it really close to those fish, right in front of their face as they're cruising down banks, which is awesome for wintertime redfish. If you do find them sitting shallow, they most of the time will eat something, and getting that in front of them really close is the perfect ticket. The other option that I like is going to be a voodoo shrimp. And a voodoo shrimp, I just like the way that it falls. It's a little heavier. It gets down a little quicker. So especially when we get into this like January, February, March time where that water gets really cold, these fish are very lethargic. The DOA is more of that drifting, swinging bait in that heavier current or even lighter current, but in moving water, versus the voodoo I really like in that deep water where I can throw it, work it off a ledge, and know that I'm going to stay tight to the bottom and really be able to work that down in that zone of where those fish are going to be at. And same thing for the voodoo. I got two different colors here. This is a very natural color when the water's clean. And then this is a red color that I like when the water's a little bit more dirty. You can't hear it from over there, but the voodoos, some of them have rattles in them. And I think that makes a big difference, especially moving into the winter. Anything that you can do to make your bait more natural and more realistic is, I feel like it's going to give you a better chance of catching something. The other thing with the voodoos that I like as well is the tail. The way it kind of separates, you can get some procure down in there and really get some scent, especially even up here in the front cavity where that hook and the weight comes in. I think that right there makes a huge difference for this wintertime. Last bait that I really enjoy fishing is going to be mirror lures. I like the heavy deans. This is an MR17 heavy dean, and then the MR27s. There's two different ways to really fish these, but the majority of what I'm doing, especially with the MR27s, is looking in that shallower water, less than 5 feet. I really like something big that has some flash in it when I'm fishing that shallower stuff. It gets that light from above and really flashes and creates a lot more commotion, I think, for these fish to react to it. The other thing that I like I said, is the heavy deans. These just get down into the strike zone, especially when those fish are in 10, 12 feet of water. If you've got less current or kind of near that slack tide or the top of the rise, where you can pitch this thing and really let it get down to those fish in that 8, 10 feet of water. This thing, you can get it in their face, twitch, let it pause, and on the pause it's going to just slightly start to sink and get down. And a lot of times that pause and then twitch is what's going to cause that reaction bite. So the mirror lure heavy dean, if I'm fishing these two, you can see they're gold color but with a dark back. This one's got that orange belly. I think color is kind of important. If I'm fishing dirtier water, I try to match the color of the water. I like those gold colors. But if I'm fishing more clean water, more ocean water, then I might go with silver. One thing that I really like this year has been the peanut bunker, I think is what it is, or peanut butter something or another. It's a really light tan color on the back with a little bit of gold, but it's a lot of silver in there, and I think that imitates those little tiny pokies really, really well, and these fish seem to love it. The last thing and a little bit of a bonus information that I'll bring you is going to be one of these, and you know, it's a twitch bait, it's a jerk bait, but this is a floating jerk bait. And what I love about this is fishing during the wintertime over structure, especially when I'm targeting striper. And that's kind of the key, but this can really be applied to redfish and trout as well. But this bait, I can cast it right up to the bank, knock it around stumps. You know, it's very much like a bass fishing technique. It's the same exact thing that I'm doing here for the striper. Cast it up, pop, 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 get it to work down in the water column, bang it off of a stump, bang it off of, you know, a post or something like that, and stop. Let that thing sit and it'll start to float up. Sometimes I'm letting it sit 3 to 5 seconds before I give it another good twitch or another good pop. And I just want it to like kind of float up real slow, and then when it pops, make sure you got a bait that's going to give you a good wobble in the water and really turn over on its side and get that flash, get that sunlight. Because you're only going to be fishing this in less than 5 feet of water. Anything deeper than that, I prefer going to a slow suspending or slow sink twitch bait. So that floating style bait in the shallower water seems to be kind of the ticket for me, especially when I want to cover water and I'm covering a larger area, not just fan casting around the bank or around the boat, but when I'm working down the bank and really covering every little nook and cranny on a bank to try to locate fish. This can be the ticket and make the difference for you this winter. But guys, I hope that right there will help you all put a few extra fish in the boat. And if it does, let us know. Leave us a comment down below, and we'll be talking to you soon. Thanks.